guys, welcome back to According To. I'm Megan.
And I'm Ciera. For this week's episode, Megan and I are going to be doing an According To Us advice episode. So we asked you guys on our Instagram at According To submit anything that you guys want advice on, and we are hoping that we can help.
Yeah, so, and we haven't looked them yet either, so
no, I
really don't know what you guys have asked us about or any specific topics, but we'll jump into that a little bit later. As always, we like to start off with just catching up with each other, with you guys, sharing our weekly spotlights and things like that. I also, before we get started, going to give a quick shout out again to our YouTube channel. Even if you don't necessarily prefer watching the video version of the podcast, if you would be so kind as to go subscribe to the channel anyways, that would really help us out. But yeah, that's just on our YouTube. You could search According To Podcast. We've been posting video versions for probably like 2 or 3 months now, maybe longer. I'm not really entirely sure. But yeah, and then we have a TikTok that we just started that like there's not a whole lot on it yet. There's like one post, but we're kind of slowly
trying to branch out,
expanding where we're at and our reach. So go check us out on all those different things. Otherwise, I think we'll get started with our weekly spotlight.
My weekly spotlight was, I think this was within the past week. Last weekend was it when we had like our time where we hung out with Mom and Grandma for a little bit. We got brunch and then we went to Dad's house later that day. That was just like such a good day. It was like me and Megan and Haley, our older sister. We like had our little session with our mom and our grandma, and then we went to our dad's house. I think a game was on or something, so we watched the game over at his house.
Grandma was not there at lunch.
At breakfast. Grandma was there.
Oh, never mind. I'm thinking of a different day. Sorry.
And it's just like a lot of catching up, like, you know, family mingling.
We always have this. Obviously, when people are talking, like, there's a lot of different things to talk about. Sometimes, though, like,
there's key topics.
Gossip isn't like the right word, because gossip sometimes I feel like is like spreading rumors, and like that's not what I'm talking about. But just like the juicy pieces, like the juicy new information,
juicy life details,
just so fun to talk about. And so that was kind of like, it was just a day where it was just like full of the juicy.
Like, I was
details.
Getting fed. It was
so
fun. Like,
it was
no, but we
nice.
Literally because our dad's house was we were rounding out the night there, and Haley obviously was there with us for pretty much the entire day. And Haley was like, this was like so much fun. And I was like, it was so much fun.
It's just fun to talk. And yeah. So
that was my spotlight.
That was fun. I would say, here, I'll say it. I actually haven't mentioned this on the podcast, but I've been wanting to get this shark vac mop because like our whole entire first floor of our house is like hardwood floors, which is great and all. Love the floors. But like, Ciera and I aren't the best with like having rugs where we need them, because like, I don't like how they look like right at like the entryway door or like our garage door, and that's where people like, you know, clean their shoes off.
Clean their shoes.
But we don't have that, and so like it gets, especially when it was snowing, like it got quite messy in that area, and I'd be like, oh well, like I'm just gonna clean it, but it was like I only cleaned it every so often. But we just got this Shark vac mop thing that is like cordless. It's a combined like vacuum and like mopper all in one, and I just think it's gonna make it like, oh, I'll just quickly like, let me clean this quick, I'll vacuum quick, or it just is gonna make it easier, I think.
That's what we hope.
Yeah, so that was just like a fun little purchase. I also, guys, we have found some jean shorts.
We do have some stuff. We did. We have stuff to share.
So, because we talked about having just a really hard time finding jean shorts in our last episode. And so we finished recording that episode. I went to my computer and just immediately was like looking for, I was like, there has to be something. So I'm going to find them. And so I ordered a pair from H&M, and I got them yesterday and I tried them on and I like them a lot. So if you see jean shorts on my Instagram anytime soon when we're in Hawaii, that's where they're from, because I only have one pair right now.
I got 2 pairs of jean shorts, and I went to Abercrombie thanks to someone's recommendation on our YouTube channel. And so I got the dad shorts, and I also got the mom shorts, like the 4-inch inseam mom shorts. And they're both like kind of a different style. The dad shorts are definitely like more of the longer short that I was looking for, but the mom shorts still fit well and like were long enough that I felt comfortable. And like Megan said, I just don't have a ton of jean shorts in general, so I figured it'd be good to just keep both since I liked both of them. But if I were to pick one, I like the dad shorts just a little bit more. So
What else have we done in this past week? Oh, we're wearing our Bengals gear today. If you see in the video version, that's because the Bengals play in their first playoff game tonight. And Maggie works for the team doing social media, so obviously have to support her, and I'm just like a bandwagon fan at this point. So hopefully they win. I was going to say something else, but then I was just going to kind of catch you guys up on like our studying stuff and like update you guys on boards. So actually, like when you apply for like licensure in a state, there's kind of like this whole checklist of things that you have to do or they have to receive in order for you to actually get licensed. And so I started like this whole process back in October because I was told it could take a while, or like you just have to like get a bunch of things in order. So like if you don't start until like way later, you might in a roundabout way like not get licensed as quickly once you actually like take the board exam. So that includes like background check stuff. I don't know. There's
Fingerprinting.
Just, like, different things that you need to do. So doing that early, I was like, I kind of got all of the stuff I could get done and out of the way. Didn't have to worry about it. And then once we graduated, someone in our PT group chat like messaged something else about licensing, and then I didn't really have an answer for the question, but then I like logged back in and I was like, wait, do I have to send my own transcripts to them? Because for some reason I didn't like know that I had to do that. So I was like, it seems like it. I don't think anyone else is going to send them in. So then I like sent in a transcript request to my school. I got an email last week saying that they finally got that. So the very last thing that they need from me now is passing the NPTE.
It is crazy because at the time that we're recording this, we're about a week and a half out. And like I have like a little bit of nerves, but like
I'm really
not too many nerves. Like I think it'll definitely increase, especially like week of. But I definitely think like I'm kind of like I would have expected to be more nervous.
I feel like, you know, there's like an 86% pass rate usually for the exams, and I didn't really struggle through PT school. So I've been putting in the work, I've been studying, we've been taking practice exams and stuff. So
I think it's one of those
like it's all gonna work itself out.
Trust the process things, and hopefully it just works out. Where it's like my thought process is like if I'm putting in the work and I'm putting forth the effort, I have a history of doing well, then like it should work out. And so I'm hoping that I can just continue to be relatively stress-free, and hopefully it all works out when I see my score.
Yeah, so it is Sunday when we're recording this. We were going to take our last practice exam tomorrow, but we decided to push it to Tuesday because tomorrow's Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and we might just do a couple more things with family since some of them aren't working, which is fine. But then I wanted to have that be like the last exam just because that's a week out. Like I don't want to have like 3 full-length exams within like 1 week. So I was kind of like, okay, that'll be the last one. And that still gives me like the full bulk of next week to kind of like finally figure out, okay, last minute things that I feel like I need to touch on, get all of my ducks in a row. And then I feel like I probably will study next Monday or like the Monday after that. But then the Tuesday before the exam, I kind of feel like I might just, like I'm going to know what I know at that point, I think. So I really might like not do too much studying that day is kind of how I'm feeling. But then Wednesday, the 25th, we wake up, we go.
I cannot wait. I mean, I'm hoping that I take the test and feel like I passed. Like I hope that I don't stress too much after the fact, especially since there's nothing that I can do at that point, not knowing my score.
I definitely tend to hear from previous people who have taken the exam that you just kind of like, you leave thinking you failed. Is like the overwhelming how people feel, at least like what I've heard most of the time. But then they're always like, but I passed. So
hopefully I would love to not feel that way, but I just hope that like I can make use of like enjoying at least the next couple days where I don't have to spend all day every day studying. I can kind of like prep for our trip and just like chill a little bit. Obviously job hunting still kind of in the works. We're in like a weird limbo right now that we talked about last week of like
I don't want to send my resume in for jobs just to be like, just for them to say, oh, like we'd like to interview you. And then for me to be like, well, I'm actually going to be on vacation. So I can't.
So I don't know. And we are in like a good position where we don't need like a job right this second to make money.
Once we're back, I promise I'm starting to submit resumes.
I promise I will get a job. Everyone's like, are you gonna find a job. Our family keeps asking us too. They're like, are you looking for anything? Have you found anything? And I'm like, I'm looking.
I'm
seeing
looking.
what's
I'm
out
seeing
there.
what's posted. And some of them I'm like, oh, maybe. And then some I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Okay. So, anything else to catch you guys up on before we dive into the advice?
I don't think so. Reading update, I guess, while I'm pulling stuff up. I've read 3 books so far this year. I've read Dark Matter, Darling Girl, and The Martian. It was 4 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars, respectively. And so I have one more book for our blind TBR that I have to finish in order to be done with that TBR, which I'm looking forward to because I like being able to pick out my own books. So
I just finished my second book of the year, which was The Guest List, and I rated it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I did feel like it was good and pretty engaging the whole way through, and I was torn because I was like, in some ways, like there'd be like a small twist, and I'd be like mouth open, gaping.
no, I know what plot twist you're talking about.
But then at the same time, like I kind of am like, did I expect that? But then I'm like, well, no, because I literally was like, what? But it wasn't like, other than like just like the initial like, what, oh my goodness, I kind of like, there wasn't like more beyond that. But it was still a good book and it was a pretty easy read. So I gave it 3.5. And then my next book that I'm reading is Hopeless by Colleen Hoover. I'm like 50 pages into it now and I just started it on my iPad last night. So I'm going to read that and then I'm going to read Room, which I don't remember the author for that one, but
Emma Donahue.
Depending on how quickly I'm reading, I'm going to need like a Hawaii book. That's going to be a separate book. I need good vibes only when I'm in Hawaii, and so those reads are going to be separate from, like, I don't know if I'm going to get Room done before then or not.
Can you believe I just pulled the author like out of nowhere? Emma Donahue, that's the author of Room. Okay, I will start at the bottom if you want to start at the top.
Okay.
So someone said, advice on becoming comfortable in a new work atmosphere. I feel like this is going to be something that'll be half me giving advice and then half just me relating. Because I haven't had technically like a work atmosphere that I've had to get used to. Like we obviously worked in high school at our gymnastics gym, but we were comfortable in that area anyways. So the most I can relate to this is my like job shadowing volunteer experience and then also clinical rotation experience. But even then, I still feel like as a student, you're never fully integrated into the work environment as you would if you were a coworker. And so
you still always kind of feel like out of the loop.
Yeah.
Which like
at least I did. I don't know if some other students just like fully like insert themselves. I think part of it is like a personality thing where I felt like I was like, I'm not going to like act like I'm a coworker when I'm still a student. And some students I think are comfortable like getting more involved. Mm-hmm. So it's like a person to person situation and also probably just like the environment within the workplace, what kind of culture that fosters. But I do think that as someone who's like new in any work environment, letting yourself kind of see where you fit and kind of like taking not like a back seat, because I think you should still insert yourself in situations and get to know people and stuff. But I think that it, in my opinion, serves people better if they kind of like don't go in and like become kind of like the life of the party. Like obviously insert yourself when appropriate and like introduce yourself and like show your personality. But I've always just felt like it's easier to like take a step back and kind of like observe first, see how this workplace functions and works, and then see like what's appropriate for me to do here. Does that make sense?
What was the wording of the question?
Let me pull it back up. Advice on becoming comfortable in a new work atmosphere.
Okay. All that's great advice. I was also kind of thinking like something I've noticed about myself. This has absolutely nothing to do with like coworkers necessarily, but like when I'm doing clinicals and stuff, and you know, PT is a very like person centered and focused profession. You are chatting with these people all day long, and so me being more of an introvert, like I would get to my lunchtime, for example, and I would just kind of like want to sit and like be by myself and like not have to like converse with like 5 other people. So sometimes, and I noticed that like there was definitely people at like my acute care rotation too, where like they kind of like just like they were at their desk and like that was their little me time. So I think also just recognizing like how you best function when you maybe need like moments to recharge, to just like be on your own if that is like something that applies to you. There were still like some days where, I'd go join and like all the coworkers would be like in the conference room or break room, and like we'd have lunch and chat, and like, still would be fun sometimes, but like you just kind of have to feel it out. And I feel like that just makes it so that you feel like you're in like a good spot and you've got like your little reset that you needed, and you're ready to then like be back in like your co-working space. So yeah,
I think that's good advice.
Someone else wanted advice on starting an intense program in school. So they said they're about to start nursing school. Someone else also reached out to us. I saw they DM'd us a little while ago. They were going to start PT school in the summer at Iowa. Go Hawks.
Ooh, congrats.
So just kind of wanting advice on prepping for things like that.
Honestly, for the PT school specific stuff, don't do anything to prep. That's what I would say. In all honesty, because whatever you think that you're learning, they're going to teach it to you in a different way anyways.
Yeah.
/ what
like
you're
not going to, don't review your anatomy. They're teaching you anatomy. Don't review. I would just literally leave it. Show up the first day and like get ready to go.
So that's my advice for PT school. As far as like obviously things accelerate, whether it's nursing school, PT school, like whatever accelerated program that you're in, my advice would be, one, if you're in like some sort of cohort situation, make some friends within your cohort and like find your group of people and know that you're all in it together.
I feel like also something that applies to any program is like you kind of have to refigure out how you study and how you study best and what that means to you. A lot of times, like before PT school, Ciera and I never like studied in groups or anything. We'd maybe sometimes study together, but then I saw from like other people vlogging in med school or other things, and like going through the interview process of PT school, a lot of people talked about like group studying, like you've got to do group studying, blah, blah, blah. So like when we started PT school, I was kind of like, oh, maybe like I'll switch to doing a little bit more group studying. And there would definitely be some times where we'd like meet up with groups of friends to kind of review stuff. But like I stuck with what I knew. And what I knew was like studying on my own for the most part. And then Ciera and I would occasionally kind of like collaborate. So I think that you know yourself best. And you need to figure out what that's going to look like for you. And maybe try some new things, but also recognize that if something's working for everyone else, it might not necessarily work for you.
I also think that one thing that's important to recognize is that there is only so many hours in the day. And so with increasing rigor in curriculum, you'd almost expect, like, I studied a lot in undergrad. And so when I got to PT school, I was like, am I going to have to study even more? And I think I started out that way. And then I was like, I'm going to burn out too fast doing this. So you kind of just have to limit yourself to saying, I can study this many hours, which granted, it's still a lot, but like you can't physically and mentally study for however long you might think you need to. And so you have to like cut yourself off at some point.
I would never really sacrifice my sleep. If anything, there would be some times where like it hit 10 o'clock, I'd be like, I simply must try to go to bed. But then like I'd maybe wake up at like 5 a.m. or something the next morning if I really felt like I need to do some last minute like review still before like a test. That didn't happen too often though, but it would happen sometimes. And then I would also say, I keep losing my train of thought. I was going to give you guys something helpful. I know it.
Find a study method that works for you. Megan and I, for the last, last year or something of PT school, we would use the Pomodoro method. And that was something that really worked for us. So finding like a timing that works for you, because that helped Megan and I study for like hours on end, and we'd have 25 minutes, you get a 5-minute break, 25 minutes, and you do that for like 4-ish rounds, and you can take like a 20-minute break. I've seen some people do like the anime Doro method where you study for an hour, take a 20-minute break. Just finding what timing works for you so you can be consistent with your studying.
I was also going to say, so just to give you guys an idea how much Ciera and I studied, for example, and everyone's different, and some people do things differently. Like there's someone in our class who like she was married and living away from her husband, and so her method of studying was that she would wake up at like 5 a.m. every day, study before class, and then get home and study until 11, and that was her whole week basically. But then on the weekends she like didn't do anything because she went home and was just spending time with her husband. So that's one option. Typically PT school for us, our program definitely like went in waves, where there'd be some really busy weeks, and then there'd be some like really pretty chill, not too bad weeks.
First, fall semester though of our second year, that whole semester was just like you cannot catch a break.
Yeah, it was pretty just a lot of work. So I feel like typically I would say Ciera and I, for the most part, class was kind of like 8 to 5-ish. Not always. There was definitely like, it wasn't always like that. But just in general, let's say that's what the day looked like. Maybe there was some gaps in the day where we could get some either assignments done or prep work for other classes done, or
We definitely,
maybe some studying.
if we had breaks throughout the day, we would try and do like stuff during those breaks. Some of our classmates would like just chill during that time and like hang out with people, whatever, go grab food or whatever.
Or like some people would work out.
Yeah.
Things like that. And so I never studied in the morning unless it was like I didn't start class until like later. But we usually started class in the morning. And then something that Ciera and I typically did was if it was like a workout day on the way home, we would go work out because that was kind of like on our way home. And it'd be like a nice little break in the day from like having to be on all day at school and then just got to go like worry about working out for a second. And then when we'd go home, we'd probably maybe study for like 2 to 3 hours was like a typical situation. But again, like if we were having a pretty easy week, like we absolutely would take like, you know, a day off or a couple days off or just like a little here, a little there, and not anything too intense. I would definitely say, yes, you have to prioritize what you're doing in your schoolwork, like you need to do well. But I also think don't like cut yourself short on just like life experiences or going out and doing things. I think you can fit everything in that you want to do.
And a lot of these programs, I don't know what program you're in specifically, but many programs that like take people in and accept people want their passing rate to be good. And so like they really push you to be successful in these programs. Like our PT school, like they want everyone to pass. Like they want everyone to graduate. And so they choose people that they think can make it through and like they'll help you if you need it. Granted, I know not every program is like that, but depending on the program that you are joining, they want you to be successful. So that should
best of luck though anyone who's starting a new program in the near future. You know, it could be all the way in the summer, but it's an exciting time.
It's crazy.
You should feel proud of yourself for getting as far as you have. It's weird that Ciera and I were in this position like 3 years ago.
That's what I was gonna say. It doesn't seem real that it was 3 years ago that we like found out we got into PT school.
Time freaking flies.
And like now I'm graduated. That doesn't make any sense.
So enjoy it. You'll see your classmates a lot. At least we did.
So similar-ish question, but more geared towards us. How did we know that we for sure wanted to go into physical therapy? I actually think this is funny because Megan and I have talked about since getting into PT school, you go through this whole interview process and they talk to you about, you know, why physical therapy? What have you seen or done that makes you think this is the field for you? And I look back at my interviews and stuff and I'm like, I feel like I didn't really know what physical therapy was. I did.
Really can't, I feel like.
But like knowing what I know now, I'm just like, now I kind of know the ins and outs of it and how it all works and functions. And I didn't know any of this going into PT school.
Or like, you know, more of like the behind the scenes or politics stuff or just like issues with the profession or like, you know, in PT school, you talk more about that stuff. Like just there's different things with like reimbursements and issues with that, or like PT school is becoming there's way more PT schools now. You kind of just like, you learn like everything about physical therapy in PT school, shockingly. And it's interesting thinking back, kind of like, you know, you're naive back then because that's all you don't know as much about what you're going into as you probably think you do. I would say that kind of my first, idea, like besides, honestly, Ciera wanted to go into PT first. So I will say that. But I was the one who had actually experienced physical therapy.
I've never been to physical therapy.
And so I had the experience like in an outpatient ortho setting. Very, very, very common for that to be the kind of gateway that most PTs have into the profession. And so I just remember thinking that the physical therapists that I was working with were really nice. They're kind of they're in an open gym just working with people on stuff all day rather than sitting at a desk. And so all of that at the end of high school when I'm thinking what I want to do was very intriguing to me. And so really I think like all you need is kind of like that starting point. There doesn't need to be one instance where you're like, I'm in love. It was like, okay, I'm interested. I'm going to keep looking around at like what else this field has to offer, what it means. And so from there, just doing a bunch of different shadowing, I really liked the variety that physical therapy has to offer.
And you also like, to some extent, you have to be interested in like human body movement, exercise, like at its core, that's what physical therapy is. And so you have to be interested in that and like
Yeah.
willing to learn about that.
And you've also like, you got to recognize like you're going to be working with people, touching people, like that can't make you uncomfortable. Otherwise, like it's probably not the best profession for you.
I have also seen, like, I think some people have this idea that, like, if you're an introvert, you won't be a successful physical therapist. And I really disagree with that. I think that just because you're an introvert doesn't mean that you can't have, like, great, meaningful connections with people just because you're not, like, the loudest person in the room. I've met many, like, introverted physical therapists who are great at their job. And I'm an introvert myself. And I have worked with patients and, like, I feel like I've made, like, that sort of impact.
Yeah. Like,
So I don't know
I
if you've
feel like
had that
I've definitely worked with
experience before.
patients that, like, I've made meaningful connections with them where, like, they're thanking me for, like, working with them or just, like, you know, people share their appreciation for the work that you do, which is not something that you can expect from a lot of professions. And, you know, don't get me wrong, there's going to be patients who, like, might be rude or they might just, like, not be someone that you love working with. And it's your job to just kind of put on a smile and work with them anyways. But for the most part, most people are kind and caring, and you know, the fact that you're there trying to help them work through the situation that they're in, they're going to appreciate that, and you can make some pretty good connections with people in that way. And that's why I always like typically working with older patients. I just feel like I vibe with them a little bit more. There was a couple days ago at the gym, Ciera and I were working out. The sweetest old man, he had a little Airx foam pad out, and he was working on his balance and like doing some dumbbell curls, and it just was like my heart was melting. He was so cute, but I was kind of like, please don't fall. But I was just like texting Ciera because she was across the gym, and I was like, you have to see this guy. And she's like, oh, I saw him earlier. And then she was just texting me being like, this is why I know I'd rather work with old people, because that's way more intriguing to us than like all the other like athletes in the gym doing whatever it is that they're doing. So yeah.
As for me, like, I think I was exposed to physical therapy when Megan was going, but I also, like, as weird as it sounds, the first time I remember, like, thinking about physical therapy was on Grey's Anatomy when Arizona was going, like, after she lost her leg. And I was like, oh, like, that's, like, pretty cool. I don't even remember what the episode or anything was. I don't remember her working with her therapist that much, but, like, that's the first time I feel like physical therapy entered my radar. And then from there, I just felt like it kind of made sense as, like, why it would be something that I would enjoy.
Another thing that I also think kind of separates physical therapy, let's say, from other healthcare professions. First of all, obviously, like, each profession has, like, their own thing that they're working with. So, you know, I'm interested in, like, the musculoskeletal stuff, and, like, medical stuff, honestly, bores me. I do not care about medical-related stuff. But, like, physical therapy is unique in that, like, you're the one spending probably the most time with a patient compared to anyone else. Like, doctors are working with way more patients. Nurses have way more patients they have to work with. Physical therapists have the luxury of, like, time. And so this is both a blessing and a curse because, like, especially as a new grad, I recognize there's a lot that I do not know, especially, like, people have questions about just, like, their recovery in general, or, like, medical things in general, or surgeries in general, that, like, they're asking you because they have time with you. So they're, like, talking about, like, their process of, like, recovering from surgery, or they're asking about, you know, doctor said this, what does that mean?
And I'm like, I don't know.
I love educating patients, so I like that we have the ability to do that, but, like, as a new grad, there's going to be a lot I don't know. So I don't know how helpful I'll be in the initial aspect of that, but with experience and things like that.
You'd be like, that's a great question. Let's ask your doctor that.
I think it's a unique position that, like, you get to be the one to try and provide answers for them when they, like, haven't really gotten the answers that they want. So that's kind of another unique thing.
Next.
I actually have the next question.
Oh, okay.
Someone asked, how do we get out of a reading slump?
Ooh, this is a good one. I'm trying to think of, like, my last reading slump that I was in was probably, like, around the time that our grandpa passed away, because I was, like, not doing a ton of reading at that point. And then, ironically enough, I was, like, usually you want, like, a quick read to get you out of a slump, and, like, the next read that I had was 11/22/63, was, like, 850 pages. I do think that the best thing you can do for yourself is find a book that just, like, it checks off, like, every one of your boxes of, like, things that you've historically loved about a book in the past and is relatively short.
I know. I'm like, make it, like, 300 pages or less. Make it so it has short chapters. If
you're a ride or die romance,
genre,
make it be a romance.
and it's, like, pick one that has not mixed reviews. Pick one that like everyone loves this freaking book. And so that's my criteria. Or if it's just like, if there's a book that like I've been wanting to read for so long and I haven't gotten around to it, maybe it's like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to go grab this book and like this is going to be what I read next. And hopefully it gets me a little bit more excited.
I think if you're in the like a reading slump in the middle of a book that you're reading and you just like are never wanting to pick that book up, there's got to come back to it.
Yeah.
You can DNF it, come back to it later. Maybe you never come back to it, but like you say, okay, we have to try something else.
Yeah. I think there comes a point when like you're trying so hard to like not DNF a book, you want to try and power through and finish it, but like if it's that or like literally not read at all, I think you kind of have to say, okay, I'm giving in. This book is not for me. I technically don't think I've DNF'd a book that I like since starting my reading journey in 2021. I have.
The moment I met you, I intend to finish, but like otherwise I've DNF'd that one.
I have DNF'd Breathless, which I might end up going back to that book. It could still work out.
I like that one. I gave it 5 stars.
It just like wasn't what I needed when like I picked it, you know?
That's so the other thing. If you're a mood reader, if you're one of those, then like you've got to make sure that your read matches your mood. Hopefully you don't like change books too much though, because
and then I DNF'd The Moon is a Harsh Mistress.
That one's valid.
But I'm not sure if I've DNF'd any other books. So that's not too bad. Some people are ruthless with like, if they don't like
what
it,
I've realized, honestly, I've thought about my rating system quite a bit, and here's what I think I've landed on. If I finish it, the book is 3 stars. I will not finish a book that is less than 3 stars. And if it's 3 stars, I don't really like it that much. 4 stars, 4 stars has such a range. 4 stars can be like to love. You know, like it can be like 4 stars. You might like it, you might not. I don't know. It kind of depends on the person. There could be 4-star books that I'm like, you have to read this. And then 5 stars are like my top tier. Everyone should read it. Or like blew my mind.
Mm-hmm. And the 5 stars just like, they're more of a feeling. Ciera was just like looking through like one was the last like 5-star romance that she read, because like you just had a 5-star with 11/22/63.
Mm-hmm.
But
my
romance
last romance,
is, like, it's hard because like most romance books I give a 4 because like I enjoy them, they're great, but like they don't blow my mind. It's rare for them to do that, but like so when they do, it's a good book.
Mm-hmm. My last 5-star romance was Book Lovers, but you gave that one 4.5.
Yeah,
so it's hard.
I think it's technically your turn to ask a question, but if you don't have one, I
can pull it up. Maggie had 2 that she submitted. How to be motivated, how to figure out your life. Thank you.
Great question. Motivation.
One that, am I qualified to answer? I don't know.
How to be motivated. I think that motivation is too easy to, or what am I saying? I feel like you can't count on motivation. You have to focus on discipline. I can't make someone be motivated. I can't, say like, this is what you care about, so this is why you're going to do X, Y, Z. However, I do think that discipline is a lot easier. And I think it's just about building habits. And yeah, I think routine is the biggest thing. So if you just like know kind of what the lay of your day looks like, and that's just how it is, whether that's studying at a certain time or whether that's, doing working out at a certain time, like whatever it is that you think is an important thing for you to be doing, for you to feel like you're covering all the bases of what you want to do, then like the more you can stick with a routine, the better. It could be like little things like, I'm not motivated to read. I try my best to read at night before bed, but like it doesn't always happen.
I have actually been,
but the best,
so crazy good about like, I have not watched like hardly, I won't say I haven't watched TV because like I have, but like reading versus like going on like watching TV at night, I have like not turned my TV on in like the past month.
Oh, I like don't turn my TV on in my room either, but like my phone, it's there.
Yeah.
It's either my phone or I read. And then sometimes I'm on my phone way too long and I'm like, I just need to go to bed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that could be time blocking, if that's something that works for you.
I don't do this frequently because I kind of like low-key hate the days, but I like thank myself for it. On a day where I have like a to-do list that's 500 years long, I will say, okay, it's one of those days we have to break it down, like time block everything. And I remember during my clinical rotation, my last one especially, I would do this a couple times where it's like, I have my clinical, I want to work out, I want to study this many hours. I have X, Y, and Z to do. I have to grocery shop. I would literally say, okay, this is overwhelming right now. I like looking at it. I don't think I can get all this done in one day. But then I say, okay, let's try time blocking it and see if we can fit it all
in a day. And so you might as well see where it fits in the hours.
Exactly. And then I get surprised and say, oh, if I do it this, and this way, and I stick to the schedule, I still have like 2 hours of me time at the end of the night that I never would have thought that I could have had. And so then like that motivates me to say, if I get this done, I get my 2 hours of me time. So
and then nothing else is on the to-do list that you need to do later.
Yeah. So again, I don't recommend that every day. Some people I think do time block every day. That's not me. I also think like, to me, working out is like a prime example of like, you know, it's hard to stay motivated to work out with your consistent schedule. And I've been working out consistently for so long that I'm just like, I work out roughly every other day. And like, I just go. Mm-hmm. Every workout is not going to be great, amazing, flawless, whatever. Sometimes you just have to go and get into that habit. And like, once you're there, it's not that bad. I think getting there for most things, honestly.
Just starting. Starting is the hardest part.
Exactly. So just start and you'll be surprised with
some people
what you
have
can
luck
accomplish.
with like, if there's just one thing they need to do, like they'll set a 5-minute timer and say like, I'm just going to do it for 5 minutes. And then oftentimes people find that like once they've started whatever it is they were avoiding so long, they might just finish the task out even if it's going past the 5 minutes. So you could try things like that just to see if the little kind of kickstart is something that helps you out.
I think there are brief times when you have that motivation and like run into that motivation. Like cleaning my house is not something I typically do for fun. So it's something that needs to be done.
There's a weird thing of like in our apartment, I found that like cleaning was not something I was like great at. But since we've moved, I feel like we've gotten like better tools to make it easier to want to do that, or like it just makes it easier, quicker. Like having specific like spray for the counter, my goodness. Life-changing, I guess, because we never freaking cleaned the counter.
Like we would always at our apartment just use like dish soap and water and a rag to like wipe stuff down, which I just like hated because I thought our rags were gross and stuff, and that's just a whole other conversation.
But separate cleaning spray and paper towels, we're doing it every day, multiple times a day, after every meal. So like little things where it's like you wouldn't think that it would make that much of a difference, but
set yourself up for success and get yourself tools to make things just a little bit easier. That's our advice.
Yeah. It could be setting clothes out in the morning to go work out. It could be, you know, just like little things where like prior you is thanking or present you is thanking past you for doing something to make it easier.
Like Maggie's other thing, how to figure out life. No one ever figures out life. That's my answer to that.
We all just try our best. Someone was asking, someone said how to choose the right hair color. And then I said, Megan did a great job with the blonde in her hair, which I'm like, I haven't colored my hair in like almost over a year, but thank you. I'm actually growing all my hair out right now. So, it's just going to be natural. And I don't know if like, cause your hair was recently done. So I don't know if they're just mixing us up. But anyways, how have you kind of come to say this is who you are as like this is your hair? And I could do the same thing.
So, my hair journey started in either 2015, end of 2015 is when I really like did my first major chop. My hair used to be like as long as Megan's.
After this, let's talk about colors and people. Anyways.
Okay. I have something I don't want to talk about, and it's going to be like on my soapbox related to hair color, but it's unrelated to anything. But we can still talk about it. So
this is my podcast.
At first I was an ombre girl for like when it was popular. I tried it one time. I honestly didn't even think the person did a good job. Maybe it was my fault for like not doing any purple shampoo or anything. I thought it was very brassy. Grew that out. Kept cutting my hair. My hair's been roughly, if I can help it, this is like, I haven't always done the best job, but if I can help it, it's always been roughly collarbone length. I've definitely gone longer and like it's just grown out a little bit, and that's not intentional.
That's not who she is.
It's not intentional. So it's always been pretty short ever since I cut it. And then I started getting the balayage, I think in 2017 or 2018. And I've been keeping it up every 6 months roughly. And I just like how it adds dimension to my hair. I actually don't even choose the color. I usually show like reference pictures on Pinterest of what I want. And then like my hairdresser will mix up the color. So I don't choose like a color or anything. They just do it for me. And I love a scalp massage. When I get my hair done, it was so good.
So I actually did not dye my hair or color or anything for the longest time. I think that the first time I did anything to it, it was right before we went to Europe, which would have been like end of 2019. So I'd never colored my hair before. Ciera had been doing balayage for quite a bit before. And somewhat intentionally, but like kind of not intentionally, you know, Ciera had decided that like she was going to go lighter. And so I didn't necessarily want to like do the same thing because I just didn't want to, I guess. I was like, well, and I would see on Pinterest like super dark brown colors, and I really liked how it looked on some of those people. And so I was like, you know, I might want to go darker, and that would, you know, be good because then like it's separate for both of us, I guess. Not that that really matters, but anyways, so I went and I got it like it was like a demi permanent color, so it was going to like fade after a while, which for my first time getting my hair done, I was like, okay, good. And I got it done, and I didn't mind it at first, but I felt like it made me look and feel really pale.
It did.
And so
like looking back, I thought
like
when you first did it, but
looking back,
yeah.
And because I had it like, it was, if you go watch our like path to PT school video, at the end of that video is like, that's what my hair looked like when I got it darker. And so then I was like, I do not like this. And, you know, I dealt with it for a while and kind of just was like, it faded a little bit too, so that helped as well. But I decided that I was not going to be going darker again. So then I decided to try a little bit of balayage. The first one I did, like it was probably honestly like a full year later, like that next winter. And it was a very, very, very gentle balayage. And it was enough for me at the time because I was kind of scared to like have any big change. But then like I kind of was like, okay, I'm ready for like a little more.
What's the next step?
And so, yeah, I did a couple different rounds of balayage. All of them I think turned out pretty good and fine. And next, I don't want to sound like I literally just like follow whatever TikTok tells me to do. But then I kept seeing a bunch of stuff of just like everyone talking about like how like their original hair color like looks best on them and stuff like that. And my hair, honestly, like it's growing out pretty good. If I say so myself, my hairdresser did like an amazing job with like it blending. So I kind of was just like, you know, it's expensive to color my hair. I don't really like feel like the need to do it right now. It's growing out pretty good. So I've just been vibing with it growing out, and I kind of feel like that's just what I'm doing at this point. But I still think like it looks nice having some dimension right now. So maybe it'll all get grown out, and then I'll be like, this is boring, and I'll want to switch it up again. But yeah.
Okay. Now to get into like I don't remember. I think that I thought about this after I had seen a TikTok, which I don't even remember what the TikTok was about at this point. But it's related to like people's hair colors and like who they're attracted to. And so I want to get your take on, like, I'm going to say a gender and what hair color they have. And then I want you to say who you think that they're attracted to in terms of like hair color. Does that make sense? This is all like heteronormative thinking.
Okay.
So if I say like brunette guys, who are they attracted to?
Blonde girls?
But like, do you believe that? Like, this is all like, what do you think?
Like, dude.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't want you to like question it and be like, is that right? Like, there is no right answer. But like, I just want to see if your line of thinking matches up with my line of thinking.
Okay. I feel like either blonde or brunette.
Okay. And so, who did I just say? Brunette guys? Okay, blonde guys.
Blonde girls.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, brunette girls.
Brunette guys.
Okay, and then blonde girls.
Brunette guys.
So that's not, you know, what I do think, and this is just me being biased because I'm brunette and I'm literally only attracted to brunette guys. So I agree. I think that brunette girls tend to be attracted to brunette guys. I think brunette guys are more attracted to blonde girls. I think
people have their types. So
I think blonde girls are attracted to both blonde and brunette guys because there's some blonde girls that like want like their surfer boy with blonde hair, but then also who doesn't love a brunette boy? And then what was the last one? Oh, and then I think
blonde guys.
Blonde guys. I think they can go either way, but I think that they may lean a little bit more brunette.
I feel like blonde guys like blonde girls only.
All right. Well, you guys will have to let us
What
know.
about the redheads? Honestly, redheads.
I don't have enough data for this.
I've never really thought about that, but because I just like have my own preferences, and then like that's kind of it.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I'm curious now if you guys have any hot takes on hair color versus who people are attracted to. Let us know in the comments.
Okay, and then also, can we talk about people paying for figuring out what their colors are, like their season?
Oh.
There's like a filter on TikTok that like does this as well, but there are literal people, like there's a master company, and then people can go like get taught by this company to then be like someone who can tell you your colors. Like you pay them to go figure out what colors suit you best based off of like your skin tone, hair color, eye color, whatever. And if you want to spend your money on that, by all means do.
However, Megan would never spend her money on that.
I just am kind of like, I feel like people have colors they like or do not like. So then regardless of if I have color that I like despise or really just do not like, I'm not going to start wearing it more often just because someone tells me it suits my skin tone best. You know what I mean? Like I feel like people have preferences for their colors anyways. Or like I just see some of the work and I'm just like, I disagree. I beg to differ.
With peace and love, I disagree. Like I always see them when you see the results, they always have like a lip color, you know, on them. I don't wear lip color anyways, so I'd be like, well, this doesn't matter. And I feel like the lip color like plays into like if it looks complimentary, it's because like there's like the same color in what they've put on. I'm like, well, of course it's gonna look better if you put like their lipstick on that matches.
Yeah. I just kind of it was like really on my For You page like for like a week straight, and I was just like, why am I seeing this all of a sudden?
Or like, would you see people being like, so like that's their color, and be like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. To me, it's
and
all.
then I put the filter on my face, and I'm just like, I really have no like strong preference for either of it. I like any of them. I don't know. They all just. I'm not really like a color person though. I'm more of a neutrals. So. You know.
So why would you get your colors done anyways?
Exactly.
Okay. Is it my turn to
Yeah.
have a question? Thanks for going on that tangent with us. Back to the questions. I feel like we've answered. I've seen stuff about like procrastination, how to stay productive, staying focused. I feel like we kind of touched on that with the like Maggie asking when you lose motivation. Someone said how to find motivation for working out. Also, good beginner workout routines. So I think that again, motivation hard to find. Finding a routine and things that you like. I think, you know, do you work out in the morning? Do you work out midday if possible? Do you work out after work or in the afternoon? Finding a time is helpful. And then also as far as, I think when you're first starting, try a bunch of different stuff. Do you go to Pilates? Do you go to cycling? Do you just like to run? Like find something that clicks a little bit and then go from there. For Megan and I, we've pretty much been consistently doing some form of strength training, resistance training, just like going to the gym, lifting weights as our main form of working out since
But it used to
the end
look
of high
quite
school.
different,
Yeah.
honestly. And I feel like everyone kind of like needs to progress through their fitness journey however they see fit. Like I could give you guys tips here and there, but I also kind of think like you're going to figure it out. You'll search for things on your own. You'll try things. You'll figure out what works best for you or what doesn't. I think sometimes, like, especially if you're like just brand new and like not entirely sure what to do, in those cases, it can be helpful to like try finding fitness influencers to give you some inspiration.
On TikTok, they're blowing up. The mic
They
people.
really are.
And I think that some of them are good because they'll give you cues for like what you should be paying attention to of like what your form should look like, what you should be feeling where. I think that's good because sometimes it can be easy to say like do 5 lunges and then someone does what they think is 5 lunges, but the form is off and like not safe for them. So I think that people and fitness influencers, or if you find like a certified personal trainer to follow like on TikTok or Instagram, to give you those cues, it's a lot better now than it was a couple years ago.
But yeah, just like search things, try things out, have fun with it. You'll be great. Someone was asking for advice on grieving / getting over the death of someone.
I don't think that you ever get over it. It just gets easier as time goes on to like compartmentalize things.
Yeah. I feel like you definitely have to expect that like you're still going to feel things and like you'll have your moments, but I also think that you'll start to figure out like you can still live your life and do the things you like to do. Surrounding yourself with people who are also going through the same thing is also helpful, I think. But you do kind of need to get back into your routine, and sometimes I think that can be best, because then you're starting to do the things that you're used to doing, and your mind is kind of like taken off of some of that as well. So sometimes jumping into a routine even sooner than you thought you were going to be able to helps. At least like I thought it was helpful. Like getting back into starting clinical again, I was like, I'm not sure if this is going to be like something that's going to come up in the middle of the day and I'm going to like have like a moment. But like once I was there, like, you know, your mind's kind of busy and like focusing on other stuff. So that was just like kind of nice to realize like, okay, I'm going to be fine.
I think that also just like, since it comes and goes, like allowing yourself, if you're feeling that sadness or that grief, like don't push it away necessarily and say like, okay, I'm going to feel this for a little bit. And then like once you feel like if you cry it out or like whatever you have to do to like feel those emotions, it'll like, you'll feel like you've had it out and you're done and you can like move on a little bit.
Yeah.
And like,
so don't necessarily just say like, nope, not
don't
going
feel
to...
it. Like, I don't want to cry right now. Like sometimes you usually have to say, okay, I feel like crying. I'm going to cry. And then you like move on.
Yeah.
So I also think that, like talking about that person or just like sharing funny stories, like I try not to avoid talking about them.
Right.
Some people do.
I think it's honestly like, and the more that time passes, or like the more you're able to like talk about that person and recognize just like the good memories that you have, like it doesn't get as challenging to talk about them either. And then it's just nice to have like their memory alive and like something you can talk about with other people still.
Yeah. But it sucks. So best of luck for anyone out there who's experiencing that. Someone said advice for less screen time.
Ugh.
I'm not the best person to ask for this.
My screen time went up 26%
last week. What'd you do?
I was on my phone, I guess. My screen
it's hard
time?
okay, screen time isn't always bad. And I think we need to recognize that, because sometimes you're doing productive things on your phone or on your computer that like just has to happen. But we'll go into this question saying you're spending too much time on Instagram, TikTok, whatever. So the worst time for me is at night, when I'm like, well, gonna go on TikTok before bed, and like I'd be on there so long. So if you truly want to like kick that sort of habit and like reduce your screen time, I think truly out of sight, out of mind, you have to get your phone away from your bed.
And then you have to buy like an alarm clock.
Well, some people set their alarm on their phone like across the room, and then they'll have to get up, which is probably the best thing you could do.
That helps you avoid like just staying on your phone in the morning too.
So I have not done that. I'm just relaying advice that I've heard to you.
Again, I feel like habit is another thing. Like if you want to read instead, then if you have like a habit of reading, that kind of helps you avoid screen time at night. What else? I feel like it's hard because inevitably when you don't have anything that you're doing, like the phone is the place to go,
and
TV,
apps are making it harder to get
your laptop
off of them. Like TikTok, the For You page is just like built for you to be on forever.
And
Twitter is upgrading, so now that like you're not even seeing stuff of people that you're following, and so it's always refreshing.
You're not just catching up anymore.
And so I'm like, well, if I go on Twitter, there's always going to be something new, which is a gift and a curse. Instagram actually has done the opposite, where I feel like I get off super fast because they'll say like, oh, you've seen everything, and I'm like, okay, and then I leave. I don't go to like the Explore tab on Instagram. I don't do that.
And I've tried in the past like having app limits during the day, and like it was too easy to say like ignore or like I don't care about this limit anymore. So that wasn't something that really worked for me. I think almost instead of like demonizing screen time in and of itself, you need to say, why do I hate the screen time so much? Because like I could say like come up with like new hobbies and stuff, but like I can't tell you what things to fill your time with. So I think that you should more so focus on, you know, what are the things I need to make sure I'm doing and getting done that like are responsibilities of mine, that screen time is not like taking over where now I'm never getting done the things I want to get done, because that's when it's a problem. And then I think you need to recognize that. However, if you're just chilling, like it's not the worst thing in the world. If you want to go read a book or find some other hobby, like you can do that.
So with all that being said, I think we're going to end today's episode here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and if you want to participate in future According to Us advice episodes, make sure you follow us on Instagram at According to.
And we will talk to you guys next Thursday.
Bye.
Bye.